Charles Oliveira finishes Beneil Dariush by first round TKO, and my prayer was answered. In the co-main event of UFC 289, Charles Oliveira is back in the mix in the lightweight division like he never left. Finishes off Beneil Dariush in the first round. There was some worrying moments where he ended up on his back and Beneil Dariush was on top and Dariush was landing some decent ground and pound here and there, but Charles Oliveira stayed calm. He knew he'd have his chance at some point, and when he did, he capitalized on it immediately and finished off Beneil Dariush in the first round. I'm so unbelievably happy about this situation, and I need to make this individual reaction video. I could have just done an event recap and talked about every single fight on the card, this one included, but I needed to make sure to give this video its own video, if you know what I'm saying. Beneil Dariush gets beaten in the first round. Sucks for Beneil Dariush, but amazing for Charles Oliveira. First round finish. He lands a head kick on Beneil Dariush, around the guard of Beneil Dariush. Dariush partially blocks it, but Oliveira hits him with that Leon Edwards combo, right hand, head kick behind it, lands it around the guard, hits the foot behind the ear of Dariush. Dariush is still with it after that head kick, but you can see it kind of changed things up for him a little bit. Started being a lot more defensive against the cage. Started to try and throw a little bit back, but Charles Oliveira stayed on him and threw those long, rangy hooks, eventually landing on the chin of Beneil Dariush. And you could see on Dariush's face, there was some fear. You know what I mean? You could see him being a little bit jittery, a little bit hesitant against the cage. He was like, he was grimacing after that right hook landed on his chin. Grimacing very visibly, and then Oliveira threw another right hook that sort of caught him behind the head, behind the ear area, put him down, and he finishes off Beneil Dariush on the ground with some vicious ground and pound shots. And I was wrong. I picked Beneil Dariush to win. I thought he'd find his way on top position at times and be able to stay there on top position. And for the most part, I was right. I know Charles Oliveira gave him some things to worry about there by landing some shots off of his back and even going for a leg a couple of times. There was a moment early on in the first round where Oliveira ended up pulling guard on Beneil Dariush. I think he was looking for a bit of a lateral drop against the cage with his open part of the cage to the back of him. He tried to throw a little bit of a lateral drop on Beneil Dariush, ended up on bottom, not the best position to be in against Dariush, who stayed calm, landing to the body, landing to the head. Oliveira, though, very good on his back. Very, very good on his back. Stayed calm, tied up the arms of Dariush, was landing elbows off of his back and hammer fists off of his back. He landed a couple of up kicks as well on Beneil Dariush and tried to go for the leg again at one point too. Such a good performance from him, man. Worked his way back up to his feet, and as soon as they ended up back on their feet, you could see Dariush almost be like, oh God, that didn't work out the way I wanted it to. You know what I mean? I'd much rather be on full guard on top, just sort of landing little body shots right now. And you could see this sort of like overwhelmed feeling in the face of Dariush as soon as they got back up to the feet. He was almost like, not even overwhelmed. I'm not just making excuses for Dariush here. He seemed like he was so tense and nervous about the fight that he was trying to counteract it by being so calm and loose in the cage. He was backing up. He wasn't really keeping defensively aware. Didn't really keep his guard up. If you look at him in the Gamrot fight, he's very high guard, very, very tense early on, very ready to do anything he needs to do. But against Oliveira, he kind of just sort of like went with the flow. And when you go with the flow with Charles Oliveira, it flows in the direction of Oliveira. You know what I mean? Because he's going to go first and he's going to make the exchanges happen. And he was very aggressive early on to find that right hook on the chin of Dariush. He ended up trying to look for the back at one point. I remember in the fight, tried to look for the back at one point. One hook in after he dropped Dariush in the late part of round one. He dropped him, tried to circle around for the back, but Dariush was staying tucked up and tucking his knees to make sure Oliveira couldn't get the hooks in on the back. But Oliveira just went, okay, you want to tuck up your knees and not let me get the back? I'm going to land these ground and pound shots, and finished him with brutal shots on the ground. Good stoppage from Charles Oliveira. Really, really good win. Sucks to see Beneil Dariush lose because he's been on such a journey to get to the top, and now it's back at the start again. Well, not really back at the start. Let's be real. If he wins another fight, people are going to be discussing title elimination bouts for him. But, yeah, Charles Oliveira back in the mix. I'm so happy. You know what? It ruined it because Nunes Aldana ruined the card after this. If we would have ended the card after Oliveira Dariush, the energy I would have had in this video, the energy I would have had for the rest of the night, for the rest of the week, after Oliveira Dariush being my final memory of UFC 289, I would have been ecstatic about that. But Nunes versus Aldana happened for 25 long, grueling minutes of Aldana doing nothing to Nunes. And it ruined the vibe of the card. It brought the energy down at the end. But who cares? Because the energy still existed. I'm looking at the social media right now on UFC Instagram, and I'm seeing numbers in Oliveira's name that are crazy. When you look at Oliveira and you start looking at the numbers that he's bringing in on these Instagram posts, he got the finish against Dariush. They posted a video of it, and it's got 351,000 views in an hour. 351,000 likes. That means it's got about 4 million views. You know what I mean? 351,000 likes in an hour. Probably closer to 2 hours by now, but still. Those are crazy numbers. This guy's a superstar. And now that he's won, I hate to say it, but everyone knows this. When he lost a ton of hype with him. You know what I mean? Because the main attraction to Charles Oliveira was that he could rival Khabib's career. So when he lost, a lot of people jumped off. They're now back on. Everyone's going to be back on. I was always on. I made a prayer video for Charles Oliveira to win, but I just thought that Beneil Dariush would find a moment where he would drop Charles Oliveira. Would find a moment in the chaos to maybe catch him and then spend time on top of Charles Oliveira as the round went on. And the way I saw it was, I know Dariush can stay safe on top of Oliveira in full guard, which he did. And if that was for 3 rounds, you've not got a lot of time if you're Charles Oliveira to eventually find that finish. But he didn't waste any time whatsoever and went straight for the finish. Straight for the finish. Wasted no time. Dude, the weigh-in photo of his 10 hours ago, before the fight, it has 294,000 likes. This guy is genuinely a superstar. And his name is only going to get bigger now. And what do we do next is the big question. What do we do next with Charles Oliveira and the lightweight division? Because Charles Oliveira was speaking English after this. English Oliveira might be the new mythical fighter, who knows? But he was speaking English, and he was saying that he's going to be ready for Makhachev no matter what. If he needs to go, then Oliveira's ready to go. And honestly, you know that Poirier versus Gaethje 2 is going to be a war. There's no other option for Islam Makhachev outside of Oliveira or the winner of Poirier versus Gaethje. If Poirier versus Gaethje 2 is a war in July, late July, they might not be ready to turn back around for October. Simple as that. They're probably going to get scrappy, and they're probably going to get rocked, even if they win the fight against each other. So maybe Oliveira will just get that rematch against Makhachev. And although I'd like to see a little bit more time between the rematch of Oliveira and Makhachev, you can't deny it. It's such a big fight. They might just do it in Abu Dhabi in October, because it would be a huge rematch regardless, especially now that Oliveira is fresh off a big win against Dariush just a couple of months before October, 4 months before October. He's ready to go again, took no damage, nice and active. Makhachev will have been out for a long time. It's still a very competitive fight between him and Makhachev, but I would have to side with Makhachev now to win that after what we saw in the first one. I think the main difference between Makhachev and Dariush is that Makhachev is so defensively responsible. Oliveira would try and be aggressive against Makhachev, and Makhachev would stay so reserved and out of range that Oliveira would end up falling short with a lot of his shots. Even the flying knee. If Makhachev was aggressive, that flying knee could have hit him in their fight against each other. But Makhachev was so defensive, Oliveira just threw a flying knee in front of him and landed right in front of him with his hands down. Of course, Makhachev's going to tag him on the chin, so I don't know what's next. They could do Oliveira Makhachev too, but man, what a performance from Olives. So calm throughout the fight as well. Started off a little bit hesitant. Both guys going for shots on each other. I think he got caught at one point early on. I think he got hit with a couple of leg kicks as well. And Dariush landed a really nasty body kick on him as well. A really good body kick. But it's those knees in the clinch from Oliveira, dude. They seem to hit different than when other people are landing knees in the clinch. You see everyone land knees in the clinch in MMA. We see so much of it where people will go back and forth landing 10 each against the cage. And all of a sudden, like, they're fine afterwards and nothing's going on. 10 knees back and forth, no problem. When Oliveira lands 1 or 2 on his opponent, you can see they feel it a little bit differently. And maybe he might have some of the biggest power in the lightweight division, because Gaethje said he's never felt power like Oliveira. And Gaethje's fought a lot of guys in that division. And for him to say that he's never felt power like Oliveira and that it stung him and like sent a jolt through his body when he felt the shot, Oliveira must hit hard, man. Must hit really hard. And man, I wish I picked him to win because I'd be so much happier right now if I picked him and he won. I'm glad he won anyway, and I'm glad I was wrong. But I wish I would have got it right and seen Oliveira win. But either way, I brought back a bad set of predictions on the card to like a 5-5 card. Oliveira gets the win. And for Dariush, it sucks for Dariush, but you're going to be used as a stepping stone for one of these up-and-coming contenders. He's the lowest level name outside the top, inside the top 5. The lowest level status, like the least popular name in the top 5. So him losing is going to be like, oh, Arman Tsarukyan. If you beat that opponent next weekend, Joaquim Silva, for no reason, I don't know why he's getting matched up with him, but because no one else would fight him, then they're going to do Arman Tsarukyan versus Beneil Dariush, probably in November or December. So looking forward to that one as well, if Arman wins this next weekend, which I think he will. But what a card, dude. I just wish the card would have ended after Oliveira versus Dariush, because Nunes Aldana killed the buzz with Aldana not throwing any punches for 25 minutes. What a hyped feeling that was. I'm so happy. I was really worried we were going to see a reality, and I mentioned this in my prayer video I made. I was really worried we were going to see a reality where Oliveira gets finished by Dariush, and then people are saying he's not the same anymore. Is he ever going to be the same after that Makhachev fight, after what Makhachev did to him? And I was worried we were going to have to live and listen to those absolute cliff-dwelling goblins tell us that, you know, Makhachev changed Oliveira's career, ruined it, retired him and all this. But no, he's back. And he's getting likes on his posts. Crazy amounts of likes. He's only going to get more likes after this as well. Honestly, they might just have to chuck him back in there against Makhachev. But something they could do is, if the winner of Poirier Gaethje 2 is fresh and they can fight Makhachev, they'll probably prioritize the winner of Poirier Gaethje 2 because it's a fresh matchup for Makhachev, and Makhachev and Oliveira are only 1 fight removed. They should be really 2 fights removed. I know that people are going to say Oliveira was a defending champ. He should get the immediate rematch after winning 1 against Makhachev. But Oliveira, technically, and this is the problem with that, wasn't the champion in the Makhachev fight. He was a challenger because he lost the belt against Gaethje, even though he won because of the weight miss. So he was a challenger in the Makhachev fight. So that's how I could see the UFC saying, you know what, Oliveira, you won, good job, but we need 1 more. And that 1 more is, ring, ring, hello, McGregor residents. You're fighting Chandler at 155, and whoever wins is getting Oliveira in a title elimination bout. And that could be the reality in the lightweight division. Imagine Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler at 155 towards the end of the year. McGregor wins, fights Oliveira early next year in March or so, stays active, and then the winner of that gets Makhachev. Absolutely crazy that would be. And I'm really looking forward to the future of Oliveira's career. If he can win dude, if he beats Makhachev, he'll be my favorite fighter of all time. Honestly. If he really gets back towards the belt, changes it all around, turns back time and gets back towards the belt again and goes for another run, he's still building his legacy. Dariush is a legendary win, and he finished him in the first round and took no damage. This is the first time Oliveira has not been dropped in so long. That's one of the reasons I wasn't picking him to win. There were many reasons why. He got divorced in training camp. He got injured in training camp. Injured, divorced, fight delayed. I was like, there's too much going on after a loss to Makhachev to like trust Oliveira to win this with the amount he's been getting dropped recently, but he didn't get dropped. Legendary mythical fighter potentially inbound. Non-previously in a fight dropped Oliveira. Chin of steel against Makhachev in the rematch maybe. Who knows? Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Oliveira, what a win. Literally going to be happy for about a month after that one. See you later. Goodbye.